Right, good morning everyone. So in the last class, we have discussed the following points under abstract classes, right? So if anybody of you having the doubts regarding the last session, so you can just ask now. If everything is okay with the last session, we will go for the next few more points under abstract classes, and then we will start interfaces. If anybody is having the doubts regarding the last class, you can ask now, or we can move to the next topic. Right, I hope nobody is having the doubts. So let us revise the previous class briefly, then we can continue with the next things. So abstract classes, these are called as partially or semi-implemented structures, where in an abstract class we can find some abstract methods and we can find some concrete methods. So in the abstract classes we find some methods with bodies and some methods without bodies. So abstract is the keyword which is used to define an abstract class. That is the second point. So if abstract keyword is used along with the class, then the class will become abstract, even though it may or may not contain any abstract methods. సో ఒక క్లాస్కి ముందు అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ కీవర్డ్ కనుక మనం ప్లేస్ చేస్తే ఆ క్లాస్లో అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ మెథడ్స్ ఉన్నా లేకపోయినా ఆ క్లాస్ మొత్తము కూడా అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ క్లాసే అవుతుంది. సో ఇన్ కేస్ అదే క్లాస్లో కనుక ఎన్ని మెథడ్స్ ఉన్నా కానీ అందులో ఒక్క మెథడ్ కనుక అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ అయితే ఆ క్లాస్ని మనం అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్గానే డిఫైన్ చేయాలి. అండ్ దెన్ కమింగ్ టు ది fifth point. So for any abstract class, if there is abstract keyword along with the class definition, then the class is an abstract class and we cannot create objects for that abstract class. So we cannot create objects directly. So now my next point, that is the sixth one, which is a question. So if we are unable to create an object for abstract class, how can we use the properties of the abstract class? So we have to subclass it, and in the subclass we have to provide bodies for all the abstract methods, right? All the abstract methods. In case if we don't provide bodies for all the abstract methods, then the subclass is also an abstract class, right? So these are all the things we have covered in the last session, right? We have seen by using the examples also. I have executed each and everything and I have shown you everything, right? Now in today's session we are going to see about the topic interfaces. See the first point, these interfaces are called as zero or null implemented structures. So interfaces are zero or null implemented structures, which means inside an interface, no method is having the body. ఏ ఒక్క మెథడ్ కి కూడా బాడీ ఉండదు. 100 మెథడ్స్ ఉంటే 100 మెథడ్స్ కూడా అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ మెథడ్స్ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ లో ఉన్నటువంటి మెథడ్స్, రైట్? సో parallelly let us work with the program also. Right? See the second point, to define an interface, we use the keyword interface and then followed by name and body of the interface. So if we want to define an interface in a Java program, we use the keyword interface, right? We use the keyword interface followed by the name and body of the interface. So let us see, if I want to define a class, I use the class keyword followed by name of the class, and it represents the body of the class, the opening braces and the closing braces. The content, something in between the opening and closing braces, will represent the body of the class. So class is defined by using the class keyword followed by name of the class followed by body of the class. Similarly, if we want to define an interface, we use the keyword interface, right? In order to define a class, we use class keyword, and in order to define an interface, we use interface keyword followed by name of the interface and body of the interface, right? Interface keyword, name of the interface and body of the interface. So that is the second point what we have seen. And then third one, similar to classes. So similar to classes, interface also contains variables and methods. So as all we know that we are already working on classes from the last couple of months. So while defining a class, we have declared some variables, we have written some methods inside a class. So similar to the class, interfaces also contains variables and methods. So for example, if I want to define a variable inside a class, I simply define a variable by data type, mute lo pettandi, by using data type followed by name of the variable, right? Name of the variable. And if I want to define a method, I will define a method by using a void return type or any other return type followed by some body of the method. So this is how we generally define a variable and a method inside a class. So we can see that there are some variables and some methods inside a class. So similar to that class, interface also allows the user to define some variables and to define some methods, right? To define some variables and to define some methods. So, but the thing for the methods and variables is that, let us see the next point. So similar to the variables and methods of a class, interface also contains variables and methods, but let us see the next point here. Fourth one, variables inside an interface are public final by default. So variables inside an interface are public final by default. So for example, I have defined int a, by default these variables will be public final int a, and we need to initialize that variable. So ఏదైనా వేరియబుల్ని మనం ఇంటర్ఫేస్లో డిఫైన్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఆ వేరియబుల్ అనేది ఫైనల్ వేరియబుల్ అవుతుంది. ఫైనల్ వేరియబుల్ అంటే ఇక్కడ ఏకి మనం 10 వాల్యూ ఇచ్చాం. సో త్రూ అవుట్ ద ప్రోగ్రామ్ we cannot change the value of a because we have used the final keyword along with the definition of a, right? So this public final, both the keywords are added to any variable which was declared inside an interface by default. Similarly, there is one more point here. The methods inside an interface or public abstract by default. So the methods inside an interface or public abstract by default. So here we have defined a method m, and there will be no body for this method m, and we need to end this method with a semicolon. So if we define it or not, public abstract keywords will be added by default to any method inside an interface, right? So interface also contains variables and methods, but the variables inside an interface are public final by default, and the methods inside an interface are public abstract by default. So there is no method which is having body inside an interface, right? Next one. Next point, sixth one. One interface can achieve the properties of another interface through inheritance. So one interface can achieve the properties of another interface through inheritance. So adento chuddam. So ikkada manaki oka class lo unnatuvanti properties ni inkoka class lo use chesukovalante, for example, I have class B. I want to use all the properties of class A. ఆ క్లాస్ ఏలో ఉన్నటువంటి ప్రాపర్టీస్ ని మనం యూజ్ చేసుకోవాలనుకుంటే ఎక్స్టెండ్స్ ఏ అని చెప్పేసి రాస్తాం. ఇది ఆల్రెడీ మనం చూసాం. ఎక్స్టెండ్స్ అనే కీవర్డ్ మనం వేరే క్లాస్ లో ఉన్నటువంటి ప్రాపర్టీస్ ని తీసుకురావడానికి యూజ్ అవుతుంది. దాన్నే మనం ఇన్హెరిటెన్స్ కాన్సెప్ట్ అని చెప్పేసి అన్నాం. అచీవింగ్ ద ప్రాపర్టీస్ ఆఫ్ వన్ క్లాస్ టు అనదర్ క్లాస్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ యాజ్ ఇన్హెరిటెన్స్. సో వి యూజ్ ఎక్స్టెండ్స్ కీవర్డ్. సో ఇక్కడ క్లాస్ బిలో మనం క్లాస్ ఏలో ఉన్నటువంటి ఏ అనే వేరియబుల్ ని యూజ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. క్లాస్ ఏలో ఉన్నటువంటి ఎం అనే మెథడ్ ని కూడా యూజ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. సో ఎలాగైతే క్లాసెస్ లో మనం ఒక క్లాస్ అనేది వేరే క్లాస్ యొక్క ప్రాపర్టీస్ ని ఇన్హెరిట్ చేసుకుంటుందో, ఇంటర్ఫేసెస్ లో కూడా ఒక ఇంటర్ఫేస్ అనేది వేరే ఇంటర్ఫేస్ లో ఉన్నటువంటి ప్రాపర్టీస్ ని కూడా యూజ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు by using the same keyword extends. So interface Y extends X అని మనం రాసామంటే ఇంటర్ఫేస్ X లో ఉన్నటువంటి వేరియబుల్స్ ని కానీ మెథడ్స్ ని కానీ మనం ఇంటర్ఫేస్ Y లో యూజ్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. So that is the meaning of that seventh point, right? One interface can achieve the properties of another interface through the concept called as inheritance, right? Next one, seventh point. If we want to make use of an interface inside a class, we have to use implements keyword. It is a keyword. We have to use implements keyword. So while writing the program, when we want to make use of one interface inside a class, see here in the two things here we have achieved the properties of one class to another class, right? And here we have achieved the properties of one interface to another interface, right? So the relation is between two classes. A and B are two classes. Here the relation is in between two classes, and here the relation is in between two interfaces. Now I want to show the relation between the classes and interfaces. For example, I have a class C I have a class C. So inside class C, I want to use, just a second, inside class C, I want to use interface X, right? In order to use the interface X inside a class C or any other classes, we have to use the keyword called as implements. And we are not allowed to write the keyword extends, right? So extends is the keyword which can be used in between the two classes or in between the two interfaces. When we want to show some relation in between the class and an interface, we have to use the keyword called as implements, right? So implements is the keyword by which we can use an interface inside a class, right? So here there will be some body for the class, right? There will be some body for the class, right? So let us discuss the next points. Eighth one. Now in the class we have to provide bodies for all the abstract methods inside an interface, which are inside an interface. So now what we have to do? So we have written one statement. You can see here, we have written one statement, class C implements X. So what we are saying to the compiler in the sense, we are saying that I am going to implement the interface X in this particular class C. So I am going to implement the interface X in class C. So implementation means providing bodies, right? Providing bodies for all the abstract methods of that particular interface. See here, see the point, don't get confused. So 8th point is, now what we have to do is, we have to provide bodies for all the abstract methods which are inside an interface. So here you can see here, I am going to implement the interface X. I am going to implement the interface X. So let us look at what this interface X contains. So interface X contains a variable integer A, and interface X contains a method M, right? So here I have to provide body. Here there is no need to define abstract keyword. We can use public void method name M, and we have to write some body for this method M. We have to write some body, or we can simply leave that by defining open braces and closed braces. See here, class C implements X, where X is an interface and X contains only one abstract method, that is M, and inside this class C we need to provide body for method M, right? Next one. Let us see the next point. If we don't provide bodies for all the abstract methods of an interface, right? Then that particular class will become abstract, which means, right, see here, if we don't provide bodies for all the abstract methods of an interface, then that particular class will become abstract. So మనం ఇక్కడ class C implements X అని చెప్పేసి రాసాం. Class C implements ఎక్స్ అని చెప్పేసి రాసాం. ఎక్స్ అని రాసాము అంటే ఎక్స్ అనే ఇంటర్ఫేస్ లో ఉన్న అన్ని అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ మెథడ్స్ కి కూడా బాడీస్ ని ప్రొవైడ్ చేయాలి, రైట్? ఒకవేళ ప్రొవైడ్ గనక చేయకపోతే, ఇఫ్ వి డోంట్ ప్రొవైడ్ బాడీస్ ఫర్ ఆల్ ది అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ మెథడ్స్, రైట్, ప్రొవైడ్ చేయలేకపోతే అప్పుడు ఆ క్లాస్ కూడా అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ అవుతుంది. సో ఇక్కడ ప్రొవైడ్ చేయలేనప్పుడు, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇక్కడ నేను ఈ మెథడ్ ఎం అనేది రాయకపోతే మనం ఆ క్లాస్ లో ఎక్స్ అనే ఇంటర్ఫేస్ లో ఉన్నటువంటి అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ మెథడ్ అయినటువంటి ఎం కి బాడీ మనం ఇవ్వలేదు. సో బాడీ ఇవ్వలేదు కాబట్టి ఈ క్లాస్ ని మనం అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ గా డిఫైన్ చేయాలి. ఎందుకంటే మనం ఎప్పుడైతే ఒక ఇంటర్ఫేస్ ని ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేస్తున్నామో ఆ ఇంటర్ఫేస్ లో ఉన్నటువంటి అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ మెథడ్స్ అన్నిటికీ కూడా బాడీని ఇవ్వలేనప్పుడు, ఓకే, బాడీని ఇవ్వకపోతే ఆ క్లాస్ అనేది అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ అవుతుంది. అప్పుడు ఆ క్లాస్ ని మనం అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ కీవర్డ్ తోనే డిఫైన్ చేయాలి, రైట్? See here, let us just a second. రైట్? సో మనం అక్కడ బాడీని ఇవ్వనప్పుడు ఆ క్లాస్ ని అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ గానే డిఫైన్ చేయాలి. అండ్ దెన్ లెట్ us look at the next point. Let us look at the next point, 10th one. If one interface extends another interface, if one interface extends another interface, and if we want to implement the sub interface, then we need to provide bodies for all the abstract methods of both the interfaces. Otherwise the class will become abstract. See here, important point. If one interface extends another interface, so ఒక ఇంటర్ఫేస్ వేరే ఇంటర్ఫేస్ ని ఎక్స్టెండ్ చేసినప్పుడు, at the same time if we want to implement the subinterface in the sense, for example, here there are two interfaces, right? There are two interfaces. So let us define one more method here, public abstract, right? Public abstract void m1, public abstract void m1, right? And here I want to implement interface y. I don't want to implement the interface x, I want to implement the interface y. So in such cases what we have to do in the sense, then we need to provide bodies for all the abstract methods of both the interfaces. ఆ రెండు ఇంటర్ఫేసెస్ లో ఉన్నటువంటి అన్ని అబ్స్ట్రాక్ట్ మెథడ్స్ కి కూడా బాడీస్ ని ఇవ్వాలి. ఇవ్వకపోతే otherwise the class will become abstract. See here, we are not implementing the interface x, we are trying to implement the interface y. Let us go to interface y. Interface y contains only one abstract method, that is m1, and at the same time interface y, it is a sub interface of interface x. So interface x contains another abstract method which is called as void m. So when we want to implement the interface x, then we can only provide body for method m. But here I want to implement the interface y. In such cases, if I want to implement the interface y, then I need to provide the bodies for both the abstract methods which are located in interface X and interface Y. So here, what I want to do is, I want to provide public void M. I need to provide the body. I need to provide the body for M, and at the same time, I need to provide the body for M1. M1. So it is called as empty implementation. It is called as, so there are no statements in between these two braces. So it is called as empty implementation, right? It is also allowed. We can provide empty implementation, or if we want to write something inside this method, we can write something. So it is not mandated to write any statements. We can provide empty implementation, or we can write any statements inside an interface. So empty implementation itself represents some body, right? So here I have provided body for M, and I have provided body for M1. Now it is okay, because we have only two abstract methods. One is in Y and one is in X. So we are providing bodies for the two abstract methods. Now that this class is a normal class. For example, if I don't provide body for this M1, then we have to define this class with abstract keyword. Abstract keyword, because class C is implementing interface Y. Interface Y contains M1 method, and we are not providing body for M1 method. For example, if I have provided body for M1 method, I left the method M without providing any body. So here class C is implementing interface Y. Interface Y contains M1 method. So we are providing body for M1 method. There is no mistake up to here. But inside interface Y, it is a sub interface of interface X, where interface X contains another abstract method which is M, and here in the class C we failed to provide body for method M. So in such cases, this class C will become abstract, and we need to use the abstract keyword before class C. Right? I think everything is clear till now. Right, next one. Next one, let us see the 11th point here. Let us see the 11th point. If, in interfaces, at the same time, we can implement, in classes, at the same time, we can implement two or more number of interfaces. Unlike classes. See here. So I am deleting all these things. See from the starting. So I have a class A, and then I have a class B, and then I have a class C. I want to extend, I want to inherit both the properties of A and B. Right? So this is not allowed. This is not allowed inside classes. Right? This is not allowed inside classes. In such case, let us see interface X, interface Y, interface X, interface Y, and then interface Z, right, extends X comma Y. So it is allowed in interfaces. The concept is called as multiple inheritance. The concept is called as multiple inheritance. So అది ఎందుకు మనకి క్లాసెస్ లో ఎందుకు ఎలౌ చేయట్లేదు, ఇంటర్ఫేసెస్ లో ఎందుకు ఎలౌ చేస్తుందో చూద్దాం. రైట్, here in class A, for example, I have a method m, and that method m has some body, and inside that body it will print something called as CSC, right? And now in class B also I have the same method m, which will print ECE. So I'm deleting these interfaces. I will rewrite it again, don't worry. So here in class C, I try to extend both the classes A and B, and inside that class I have defined one more method called m1, and which will print something called as civil, right, which will print civil. And then I have used a class D to write the main method of Java, and inside the main method I want to create an object for C space obj equal to new C. And now what I want to do is I want to call the method m1, and I want to call the method m. I want to call the method m1, and I want to call the method m. In both the cases, if I want to call the method m, there is no problem. There is only one method m1 which was located in class C. Then there is no problem. But what happens in this case? When we call the method m, so there is no method m inside class C. Inside class C we have only method m1. But there is method m inside class A and inside class B. So here class C is extending both the classes A and B. If class C extends both the classes A and B, and in such case class A contains method m, class B contains method m, and we want to execute the method m through the object of class C, now the compiler will get confused whether to execute the method m which was present in class A, or whether to execute the method m which was present in class B. So this type of situation is called as ambiguity situation. So in case of classes, when we have multiple inheritance, so this type of situation is going to be raised, and that's why in Java will not allow the concept of multiple inheritance in case of classes. Very, very important and important interview question also. So why Java is not allowing multiple inheritance in case of classes? Because there will be some ambiguity situation. When multiple inheritance is done in case of classes. What is the ambiguity situation here? If both the classes contains same method name, and in the subclass, if we do multiple inheritance, and at the same time for the subclass we have created an object and we have called the method m. So m was located in class A and m was located in class B. In such cases, compiler will get confused whether to execute the method m which was present in class A or to execute the method m which was present in class B. So this type of ambiguity situation is going to be raised in case of multiple inheritance in Java. So the multiple inheritance concept was not supported by classes in case of Java, right? There is one more previous language which is called as C++. In C++, there is one operator called as scope resolution operator. There is one operator called as scope resolution operator, and it was defined by using double dot symbol, right? So for example, if I want to execute the method which was present in class A, I simply use like this, which states the compiler that to execute the method m which was present in class A. This scope resolution operator was not supported. This scope resolution operator was not supported in Java. Not supported in Java. So because of that, in C++, it supports multiple inheritance directly in terms of classes, but in Java it does not support. In C++, this type of confusion will be resolved. I'm sorry. If I want to execute the method m, which was present in class A, I can simply use a double colon. So it will execute the method m which was present in class A, because we have showed some way to the compiler. If I want to execute the method m present in class B, I simply use B scope resolution operator m. And this scope resolution operator is not supported in Java. That's why it does not support the multiple inheritance in terms of classes directly, right? And in C++, there is one more concept called as virtual base class. By using virtual base class also, this multiple inheritance, this ambiguity can be resolved, right? But in Java, there is no support of virtual base class, and there is no support of scope resolution operator. That's why it does not support the concept of multiple inheritance in case of classes. So let us save the code and let us try to compile and run the program. So here, what it is saying at line number 15, that is expecting some semicolon, because up to this point it is valid, but from here after it is not valid because it does not support multiple inheritance, right? So this is the main reason why Java is not supporting multiple inheritance in case of classes, right? Next one. Right here in classes, at the same time, we can implement two or more number of interfaces, right? See here. See here, if I have modified everything with interface A, and if it is an interface, there will be no body for this method m, and it is an interface, and here also there will be no body for this method m. Method m, we end it with semicolon. So there will be two keywords here, a public abstract, and here in class C, if I want to implement these two interfaces, I need to use implements A comma B. Here what I have to do is I need to provide the body. I can have my own methods. At the same time, I need to provide body for method m. For example, I have provided some body for method m here, right? So this method m will print something called as CSC. So now let us look at, now this will work fine. Let us save the code and compile the code now. So you can see here there are no errors, and it will print the output of the code. So this is how, because let us see here. I have defined an interface A which contains method M, and then I have defined an interface B which contains method M, and in class C I am implementing both the interfaces at a time. So if I want to implement both the interfaces, I need to provide bodies for all the abstract methods which are present in class A and which are present in class B. So here in class A there is method M, and in interface A there is method M, and in interface B there is method M. So there are two methods with the same name. Now in the class C there is no need to provide the bodies for method M twice. We can only provide body for once. So now if I call the method M, it is having the only one single body here. So it will be executed directly, and there is no confusion for the compiler. So the ambiguity situation is resolved in case of interfaces, right? In interfaces, we have achieved the multiple inheritance. See here, we are achieving the properties of interface A and interface B at the same time. So class C is having two parent interfaces, right? I will show something in the next class also, right? In the next class, and I will extend this point, also the 11th point. So ma dini varaku emana doubts unnaya? Ma intavaraku emana doubts unnaya? మా ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే చెప్పండి, అవి క్లియర్ చేస్తాను, రైట్? సో నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్లో ఆ 11th పాయింట్ ఇంకా కొంచెం ఎక్స్టెన్షన్ ఉంది, మళ్ళీ నేను ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను ఆ 11th పాయింట్. అది కొంచెం ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్, రైట్? ఇంపార్టెంట్ పాయింట్. అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం దాని ఎక్స్టెన్షన్ కూడా నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్లో డిస్కస్ చేద్దాం. ఓకేనమ్మా, థ్యాంక్ యూ, అండ్ వీ విల్ మీట్ ఇన్ ద నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్ ఆన్ ఫ్రైడే.